Hello, OKPA fantasy football community. Welcome to the 2020 playoff picture show for week 13. Got some primetime action going here, some big games to talk about, some big playoff picture scenarios to discuss. I got with me a special guest, Mr. Chad Zarat. You may know him as the spoiler. Chad, how's it going?
Going good, Andy. It's going good, man. Glad to be here. I'm excited to talk and see how these playoffs are going to turn out for the OKPA League this year.
Awesome, awesome. We had a few clinches this week. We already
Mhm.
had Michael coming into week 12. We had three more join him. Actually, both of us punched our ticket along
Yep.
with Mr. Brandon Hogue. I was sad to see that, but still got four crucial spots. We have one regular spot for each division and then the two wild card the first year for that. Um, I think I'm ready to dive right in. What do you think?
I am too, man. Hey, also, congrats. We're both in the playoffs.
How about it? And we
I'm
play
thinking
each
it's
other
that
too.
trade we made this year. I told you, we both got to make a move after this trade.
There you go. And we play each other this week too. We can pretty much just like bench both of our rosters if we want to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the sheet. It looks like you're already in there.
Yep.
So let's just we'll start off. We already talked about the tickets that were punched. As we can see on the screen over here to the far left, that in the NFC, you and I have punched our ticket along with Michael and Brandon in the AFC. We can see that in the NFC, we have two still competing for a playoff spot, and we have four that are still alive in the AFC. And we're going to really deep dive into that situation here, I guess, right now. Um, so let's start off with the NFC. Pretty straightforward. How about it? The two teams that are still alive, Big Mac and Garmin, they're going to play each other this week.
That's exciting, man. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than the final week winning you're in. That's all it is.
That's right. And actually, both of them, I mean, technically they could make it through a wild card, but more likely than not, if they don't win this one, especially in Garmin's situation, it's probably going to be the end of the road for them.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Especially when you bring in the points, both of them are a lot lower than you got Tim and Demo on the other side. They gotta win. Just make it easier on yourself.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I don't know who was responsible for drawing up the matchups, but they definitely hit this one on the head. We'll jump over to the AFC now. It gets a little bit more complicated than a win and you're in situation. Uh, Ketchin obviously in the driver's seat with the 4-2 division record. He'll
Yep.
face one of the other teams in the AFC that is still alive with Demo.
Yeah, this one's interesting because if I'm not mistaken, I think Ketchin might be getting a guy back off the IR this week. This could be a lot closer than people would think. Because I know Demo's team's been pretty powerful all year.
Yeah, he definitely started off strong. I think he started 5-0 and he's now sitting at a 500 record. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that anybody really predicted that he would be in a definite need to win situation here based on the way he started, but definitely has the firepower to get him a win this week.
Yeah.
So the other two down here in the AFC that we haven't discussed yet are Papa Hogue and Eric Mahler. Papa Hogue definitely in the driver's seat, can control his own destiny. He has a playoff spot here no matter what happens in the catch and demo matchup. His points for are what second in the league. So I mean, if he wins, he's definitely going to secure a wild card spot. As for Mahler, he is on the outside looking in. But what you have to consider is that Demo and Ketchen are playing each other, so that's a definite loss for one of them. Mahler picks up a win here. It's a pretty good
Mm-hmm.
chance that he makes it through.
Yeah. There's so much going into these three matchups for the AFC. I'm gonna be watching that more than I'm gonna be watching my matchup this week.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be about as entertaining as the actual football games going on, seeing who's going to be the final four teams that make it to the Oak Park playoffs in 2020. So I think what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do, since we've already talked about, a brief overview of the playoff picture. Let's deep dive into each team, each manager, and let's lay out kind of what they have to do in order to punch their ticket to the OKPA playoffs.
Sounds good.
So we'll start off in the NFC with Big Mac, and we're going to use our projection board here. So Big Mac's going to face Garmin. Pretty obvious situation here is Big Mac wins the game. He goes to 8-5. Garmin goes to 6-7 with a 4-3. That'll clinch it for Big Mac. He's going to secure the
Mhm.
NFC, potentially the NFC 3. He could actually move up to an NFC 2 position if he
Yeah.
wins and you lose, or if
He,
I lose or
I
something like
think,
that.
yeah, and I think with us playing each other, I think no matter what, he would move to 2 with a win because one of us is going to lose, and I think he'd pass us if either of us actually lost our matchup.
That's right. Yeah. So he's probably going to end, like you said, probably going to end up in an NFC 2 position there.
Yep.
Um, okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to say Big Mac loses instead.
Okay.
Because right now we're just going to talk about the playoff picture for Big Mac. So he would go to 7-6 with a 3-4. Garmin would go to 7-6 with a 4-3. That gives Garmin the NFC 3 position. So then
Yeah.
let's talk about how Big Mac here. Let's talk about how he could still get in even with the loss this week. It's a stretch, but he could do it.
It is. It's a big stretch.
Basically, what I saw is he's going to need either Tim or Demo to lose, and the reason being is they're the high scorers in the AFC. He's
Yeah.
actually 3 points ahead of Ketchin right now. So basically, even if he loses, if Tim or Demo win the AFC 3 position, which moves Ketchin down into a wild card spot, he's also going to need Muller to lose, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
since Muller has about 30 more points on him. But if he can then outscore Ketchin, he'll get the spot over Ketchin. It'll be whoever doesn't get the AFC 3 between Tim and Demo and him will be the two wild card teams.
Yeah. And I think looking into this one, I mean, you got to look at Ketchin's playing Demo. So Demo's pretty much got to win that matchup with Big Mac wants any help if he ends up losing to Garmin.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, it boils down to just win the game and you're in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's always better whenever you don't need help from anybody else and you can just do it yourself.
Yeah. And say he does win. I mean, Garmin, I don't think there's any way he can get in just from points allowed and or 4 and then being 6-7. So Renaud wins, he's in, Garmin's automatically out, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I have down in my notes here the only way that Garmin could get in if he loses is Ketchin has to win the AFC 3, and then both Demo and Muller lose, and then Garmin has to outscore Demo by 100 points. And that's how he'll get in if he loses.
Uh, yeah, Gorman, just going to tell you this now, bud. You better win if you want to see the playoffs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that covers pretty much our NFC teams. I guess for simplicity's sake, we're just whatever before we talk to the AFC, let's just go ahead and say that Big Mac is going to win this game
Yeah.
because that's going to put Garmin into a situation where he's basically eliminated, and then
Yep.
Big Mac goes to the
He takes that 3 seed.
right. So we'll put a W in there. Okay, so let's come on down to Ketchin now. Obviously in the driver's seat if he wins. If he loses, he does have a way that he can make it happen here. What I have is, well, obviously Demo will win, and either Demo or Tim will take the AFC 3 spot.
Okay.
Ketchin will have to, what do I got here? Outscore Muller by 30 or more. That's in Big Mac if he loses.
Yep.
Basically, if Muller wins and Ketchin loses, Ketchin will have to
Ketchin
outscore
falls
Muller.
behind him.
He'll have to outscore Muller by 30 points.
Oh man.
So I mean, he's pretty much right now. He's in the driver's seat. He could very very easily miss the playoffs if several things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. And the thing is, like we said earlier, Demo's team's no walk in the park team to go beat. They can put up points.
That's right. The only thing he has going for him is Mueller does have a tough matchup this week. He's facing the best record in the league and most points for. You could arguably call him the best team in the league, but I'm not going to. In Michael Morgan, who, I mean, that's a tough matchup, especially in a need to win game.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. Yeah. And that might even Ketchum's probably sitting there, counting his praises here because you got, Pipsqueaks kicking the piss out of everybody lately. I mean, I think he's won like 7 in a row. He might have just lost his first one in, 9 weeks or something, but that definitely helps Ketchum's case that Muller's playing Morgan.
Yeah, Michael lost to his boyfriend, and I think that's the only one that he's lost in a while. Going over to Papa Hogue, who, I mean, he's sitting there. He has second most points in the entire league in the driver's seat. Obviously, a win and you're in situation.
Yep.
Even if Ketchin wins, he's still guaranteed that top wild card spot,
Yep.
which would actually face the NFC division's top seed. But if that's Michael will have the choice, which he'll probably take the lower wild card.
Yeah.
There is still
Yeah,
obviously. Go ahead.
For you and I there, Andy, that's not boding too well because I haven't scored a lot of points, and if I end up getting that one beat you, I'm facing either Tim Hogue or Derek Morgan. I'm not looking forward to that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you get into the playoffs, I know it better than anybody. You're not guaranteed any wins. It doesn't matter how you do in the regular season. I've made it all every year so far, and I haven't won a damn playoff game. So, I mean, it's basically like resetting the slate once you get into the playoffs, and who knows how it's going to pan out.
I mean, Morgan last year. Look at Morgan's a prime example of that. Barely sneaks in, all of a sudden runs to the championship game. It's like your team wasn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, look at Dave and Troy in the first, in the inaugural year. They had a losing regular season record and win the championship.
Oh my God. Yeah, now Dave just, I don't even know what's going on over there in Schlitzburg, but it ain't pretty.
I honestly think that he believes that he can tank and get a better draft pick or something like that. I honestly think that's what he's thinking. So anyway, we were talking about Tim obviously winning in, but he could lose to Brandon. Brandon's already talking some smack, saying that he's going to put his dad out of the playoffs. Even if Brandon does win, though, it's not necessarily that he's out. Basically, what's going to happen is Mueller has to lose. If Tim loses, Mueller has to lose in order for it. Doesn't matter what happens in the Demo catching game. If Mueller loses, Tim still retains his position.
Yeah, I mean, don't put it in other people's hands. That's all I'm saying. Yep. Just go win your matchup. I know you've already been doubled scored once here, Tim, but hey.
Well, they both have.
Go win.
They both have.
Oh, that's right. So this is a matchup of name changes is what this is.
That's exactly what it is, as a matter of fact.
Oh, man.
All right, so moving down the list here, getting to Demo. Obviously, since he's highlighted in blue there, you can see that the blue means that you tentatively have a wild card spot. No matter what happens outside of this matchup, unless somehow he got outscored by Mueller by 40 points, maybe, but not really counting on that. If Demo wins, he's in. However, if he loses to Ketchin, that means Ketchin will take the AFC 3 spot. Mueller, like I said, he has to lose. If Mueller wins and Demo loses, it's over. It doesn't matter. Demo's done. And then he can't be outscored by Mueller by more than 40 points. Even if, say they both lose, if Mueller outscores Demo by 40 points, that would also result in Demo being
true. Yeah, you bring in that third tiebreaker on points for, and sorry, Demo, you might have been 5-0 to start the year, but you're looking on the outside.
That's right. Counting down the days till next season. like we said, Garmin's. I mean, we can basically eliminate Garmin from the conversation, even though he has the same record, same division record, everything like that. Based on points, he's probably not gonna, outscore Demo by 100 points.
Yep,
It's happened
exactly.
before. It has happened before. I beat you by 100 last year.
You did beat me by 100
Yeah,
last
so
year.
it could happen.
Maybe the
but-
most embarrassing week of football I've ever witnessed in fantasy.
Oh man, I was in Hawaii for that, and I just remember sitting back on the beach. I mean,
You were sitting back on the beach and I was putting my face into a pillow. It was not a fun week.
I guess it depends on what point of view you're looking at.
Well, that's true.
Jumping on to Mueller. Obviously, or sorry, I can't say obviously here. He is on the outside looking in right now.
Yep.
If even with a win, he's not guaranteed anything. However,
he needs help.
He's gonna need help. If he wins, Ketchen beats Demo, and actually that would.
I think he's in a spot where as long as Tim, if he wins and Tim or Demo lose, he's in. But other than that, I don't think he can sneak in. Maybe if Tim and Ketchen lose, I think the big matchup is Tim has to lose if Mueller wants a chance.
Well, I'm looking at this now. If Ketchen loses, that would put in Mueller wins, obviously. That would put them at the same record, same division, and Muller's up 30 points on Ketchen.
Oh yeah, he is.
So that could be.
So really, it comes down to if Mueller wins and Tim loses, Muller's in. Because Demo or Ketchen's gonna lose. They're playing each other.
That's right. Yep.
Wow. I'll tell you what,
now
that
I'm
makes
looking at
things even more interesting.
Is Mueller in a win and in situation here? Because if he
not if Demo and Tim win though, because then Ketchen gets kicked.
Yeah, but either Tim or Demo is going to go to the AFC 3. They won't be a wild card team anymore.
You might be right.
I think Eric Mueller is in a win and in situation here, even though he's on the outside looking in right now.
Hey, I'll tell you what, benefit of the matchup with Demo and Ketchen playing each other. I mean, that one of them's got to lose, and that might help Mueller sneak in if he wins.
Absolutely. Again, though, tough matchup with Michael, so we'll definitely have to see how it plays out. So that's basically what we have in terms of what needs to happen in order for everybody to get in. I now want to jump into, fairly briefly, discuss what our thoughts are on these matchups. Again, just looking at the key matchups that we have up here. We'll start in the AFC with Big Mac, or the NFC with Big Mac versus Garmin. What are you thinking?
I'll tell you what, I think it comes down to if Lamar Jackson plays. If Lamar Jackson's out, this Garmin could steal this. But if he's going to play, man, I think Big Mac's got a good team with him and Derrick Henry. It's going to be hard to overcome the points Big Mac can put up here.
Yeah, I mean, Big Mac's he has a couple big name players between Derrick Henry. He still has AJ Brown.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I popped open his team. He's got Sammy Watkins coming back too. I mean, he's going to be in his second game back here and looked pretty solid in that first game last week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Big Mac's coming off a week where he scored 160, I think.
Yeah, he put up a big number last week.
159
without Lamar Jackson.
Right. So things are definitely looking grim for Garmin. But looking at the Yahoo projections right now, even with, I mean, we're talking 1 point, exactly 1 point difference. That's with Lamar playing. Boy.
Yeah, that's wild. I think the big thing that Big Mac's going to need to happen is Herbert cannot throw touchdown passes to Eckler. He has to run him in, or somebody else has to catch it. You don't want to be giving up double points there anytime Herbert throws a touchdown and
That's right.
Eckler's catching
That's
it.
right. When did Eckler come back? Is this his first week? This is
No,
his
this could be his second week. He played
back.
last week. He played really well.
He did. He
I mean,
put up 23.
he got every touch, it seemed like. Out of the backfield at least.
Yeah. Yeah, he had 23 points last week. So, wow, this is going to be a phenomenal game to see who punches that ticket.
Yep.
If you had to make a pick right now, who do you have?
I got to take Big Mac, man. Coming off a 160 week, I'm gonna take that.
I am 100.
What about you?
Yes, I am 100% with you here. Garmin's had his hot streaks, but he's also had his cold spells. I think this week, I don't know so much if he'll have a cold spell, but I think Big Mac's going to be just a little bit too hot for him to handle.
Yeah. Agree with that.
So we're going to go ahead and put Big Mac in here. He goes to 8-4. He'll go to 8-5. 4-3. And again, seeding doesn't necessarily matter right now. We'll get to that at the end of the show here. So we got that. We both agree Big Mac takes the win here. We're going to go to the Battle of the Hogues in the AFC division. Brandon already clinched his ticket, whereas Papa Hogue, he's in a situation where he's wins and he's in.
Yep.
Excuse me. I do recall last year, and let me take a look at the history here in the Yahoo League. I vaguely remember Hogue throwing to let his dad into the playoffs last year.
Really?
Yep, he lost to you in week 13. Not saying
that ain't throwing.
Not saying you had a bad
just because I got a win, that's not a throw.
The kid's coming in 9-3, facing you. Who, I mean, at that point, I mean, you ended up 6-7 last year. I'll be damned.
I was spoiler at the end of the year. I won like 4 out of my last 5. I lost to Morgan early in the year by like 0.4 because Jamal Williams had an insane touchdown catch in the corner off Aaron Rodgers' pass.
Yep.
That's the only reason Morgan made the playoffs. I almost snuck in.
Yep. I do remember that. But one could argue, I mean, if you're, somebody that's, a third party, unbiased third party, could argue that he purposely lost. I mean, looking at his team that week, hold on, let's take a look here. Looking at his team that week, who did he have on the bench? He left Rashad Penny on the bench, who scored 33 points that week. And he started Jonathan Williams, who scored 6. You can't tell me you're starting John. I don't even know who Jonathan Williams is.
He may not have started his best lineup, but
I'm just saying it was a little suspect. Hopefully we don't see anything like that again this week. Well, Papa Hogue is arguably.
Now are we starting to look, Andy? Now are we looking? Maybe Brandon's not as clutch in week 13 as some people might think. This may be his kryptonite, if you will.
His Achilles heel, maybe. So maybe he's not quite that clutch in the week 13. His dad's a good team. He is a good team there.
It is.
I mean, you look at some of the.
He's got some crucial bye weeks coming in.
And I mean, look at his total points for. He's second highest in the league. I'm surprised I squeaked past him last week. He's Taysom Hill, who likes to rush for touchdowns. Michael Thomas, Dalvin Cook, Travis Kelce. I mean, he has a solid squad. His RB2 is
Justin Jefferson. Holy hell!
His RB2, struggles. I don't know how I'd feel about starting Fournette, but he really doesn't have anybody else.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make a good pickup, or hope to God that whoever he puts in, whether it's Madison or Kelly, has a slip up touchdown. I guess if he's gonna get points from it.
That's right. Looking at Hogue's lineup, he does face Zeke has a very tough matchup against Baltimore, and Zeke's been struggling as it is.
I'll tell you what. Looking at this game though, Hogue's got 3 Baltimore players playing on Tuesday, so we're gonna really have to wait till the absolute last day to see who is getting into the OKPA fantasy playoffs this year.
Oh man, I'm gonna lose sleep over this. So who do you think? All right. So in the Battle of the Hogues, what are we thinking?
I just don't see how Taysom Hill's going to get 20 points on that projection throwing the football. He was bad last week. I think they're going to try and run. I think Hogue's going to get. I think Brandon Hogue is going to get the win and potentially knock his father out of the playoff picture.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Very tough for me to say. I just know that the Papa Hogue, he could have a 170-point week with the snap of the fingers.
He also could have 50 though. I mean, we've seen that happen. That's why he's I sit when I pee.
We've seen them both that do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with you. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I'll give this one to Brandon. So we can't punch any tickets yet.
Nope.
Because Tim's losing. So we're going to put him with a record of 7-6 with a division record of 3-4. Moving to the next game, Muller versus Michael Morgan. Definitely a David versus Goliath type matchup here.
Yep.
With the 10-2, we've only ever had one team in the history of OKPA go 11-2. That was Brandon, I believe, in the inaugural year, went 11-2.
And then did he lose in the championship that year though to Slitsburg?
He did.
The combination of Troy and Dave.
I'm looking at the finals of that matchup right now. The final score was 109-99.
Oh my!
What a
God.
finals!
Talk about choking.
And yes, I am confirming now that he was 11-2 that year. That was the only team to ever go 11-2. So
That's
anyway,
no.
Let's take a look at what the matchup looks like here. What's Yahoo thinking? And again, there could be changes. Waivers hit tonight, so there could be changes that happen to the lineups.
Mm-hmm.
They have Michael by almost 20 points there. Michael's a good team.
Yes, he is. But we're also Mueller doesn't have a quarterback in because Brady's on a bye, so he's got to pick somebody up because he doesn't have one on his bench. Could be a big pickup. It could cost him his playoff look.
Who do we have available right now for QBs? Anybody? Minshew's not starting.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I know who's out there actually who could be a great pickup pending a Sunday morning walkthrough to see if Tua Tagovailoa is going to start or Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is available.
If Fitzmagic starts, that could be a playoff puncher right there.
I'll tell you, that could push Mueller because they're playing the Bengals and they could score 40.
I'll tell you what, if Michael's watching this, he may consider, maybe going and picking him up, jumping in front, but try to pick up a win. But that would cost him he does have the one waiver spot.
It'd be a smart move. I'm not going to say to do it because I don't condone that, but you never know. Fantasy is fantasy. Do what you will.
We're going for Mexican tomorrow.
Sorry, I had the wife walk in, distracted me there for a second. Anyway, okay, so what are we thinking here between Michael Morgan and Eric Mahler?
Oh man, I think this is going to be a really good matchup. Yeah. I'm excited to watch kind of how close this is. It's all going to depend on who plays quarterback for Mueller because he's got favorable matchups. I think it's going to go to Michael Morgan, but it's going to be close, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely one plus with fantasy compared to actual football is Michael would probably be benching his starters this week if this was real life. But
yeah,
considering it's not like his players are going to get hurt if he plays them. I think he will play them tough. And I agree with you. I think this is going to be the second time in OKPA history we have an 11-win team.
Hopefully it follows the same path and they lose in the playoffs.
Hopefully he doesn't even make it to the finals.
Facts. I'm hoping he loses first round.
So since we have Muller losing, Papaho did just punch his ticket as a wild card team.
Yep.
But we'll get to the seeding here, where they're at in the wild card. The last matchup we'll talk about, huge matchup. Two teams that have the opportunity to punch their ticket or could be on the outside looking in. Again, since we're projecting Muller to lose, it's not going to matter. But still, still important to talk about. What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, this one will be interesting, man. Demo's team is so good, and then they got so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to think. But again, I mean, I'm looking at Ketchum's lineup now. If you're starting, is it Nick Mullins, whatever the hell it is? I don't know how you win with that.
Yeah, and looking at his bench, other than always Alex Smith there, but I mean that's not really helping you out much more.
Hey, and here we go again, though. You got maybe it's going to come down to who's got the early waiver pickup. Somebody's going to get Fitzpatrick. I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or Drew Lock, and you're not going to want to go get Drew Lock.
Yeah, my thing is if I'm starting Nate Mullins, I will be going on my quarterback free agency list to get somebody.
Absolutely. There's no way that you can go into a deciding week 13 with that bad of a quarterback in there.
Yeah.
Hey, looking down his lineup, he's got a guy on the injured reserve in his lineup right now.
Yeah, he should be back. It's going to be they'll probably decide Saturday if he's going to play or not, but at this point he's on track to play, coming off that IR.
It seems like his replacement though, that Salmon fella, whatever his name is, it seems like he's been doing an okay job. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're right. And it's good. So it'll hurt Gaskin's production for sure. But if he's just looking to put somebody into that flex spot, Gaskins should at least play. But I think he can make a move to, put somebody better in there looking at his bench at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. He did take a huge hit with Will Fuller, though. Looking at that now.
Yeah. What the heck? I mean, that's unbelievable. Fuller, and then, he's got Chark out there who's injured, but might play through it.
It looks like
he's just having a rough a little rough luck here going into the 1 week you really need your team to be healthy.
Yeah. I mean, definitely a key healthy player for him, though, is Tyler Higbee.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. It may be the most impressive feat if he makes the playoffs with a second-round pick of Tyler Higbee. I will be very impressed.
I'll tell you what. Okay, I think it's time, though. What are you thinking here?
Oh, man. Looking at the roster, again, like we said, it all depends on what waivers go through. But God, Demo's team just looks so much better. I think I gotta go Demo here.
I'm with you, but I'm just looking back through a couple weeks now. I mean, Demo's coming off an 80-point week.
Oh, that's so bad.
Let me see here. Did he have anybody on bye or anything?
Is John Taylor? I thought he was on COVID reserve. Because now I see him in the starting lineup. He doesn't really have a great. You could go Wilkins if he doesn't play.
I hope he doesn't play because I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need my guy Nyheim Hines.
Nyheim Hines.
Yep.
Oh my God! Of course you do.
He finally panned out for me last week. All of his big games, he was on my bench, and anytime I started him, he did nothing. But I finally panned out. Got a 20-point week out of him last week.
Oh man, yeah. When he gets touches, man, he's good.
Yep.
He is good.
When he has the ball in space,
didn't realize I was playing against him.
Tough to bring down. But yeah, to circle back around to the matchup that matters, I'm with you. I think Demo's team just has too much firepower to predict against. I'm gonna give this final spot to Demo. Okay, so Demo wins. That moves him to 7-6 with 4-3. Ketchin loses. He's 7-6 with a 4-3. We had Pop Hogue losing. Okay, so Demo will actually get the AFC 3 spot he'll take just because of points, he'll take that from Ketchin.
Yep.
Ketchin will still have the top wild card spot. Papa Hogue will take the wild card 2 spot, and then Mueller and Garmin, see you next year.
Yep.
So there it is.
That's about what I would think as we were kind of starting to talk through this. Is that's kind of how I'd think who'd be in, who'd be out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Ketchin, if Ketchin does win, maybe Demo is in the wild card and Ketchin's in the AFC spot. Honestly, though, like we mentioned earlier, as long as you can punch that ticket, it's really a whole new ball game. There's no bye weeks or no first round buys. So honestly, as long as you're in, it doesn't really matter.
Now let's continue to talk about this now. So we're talking seeding, right? So I know you had mentioned before. Now Morgan being the overall 1 seed, no matter what happens here. Now, does he play the wild card too, or does he have selection of who he wants to play?
The way I interpret the rules is he has selection.
Okay, because that's a big difference playing Ketchin and Tim Hogue. Because if he played wild card 2, he's taking Tim no matter what, and then our 1 seed gets Ketchin.
Right.
But with his selection, I'd assume he'd go the other way and take Ketchin and flip Tim to the other side of the bracket.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think he would take Ketchin here. So we'll go ahead and plug that in. That he'll take Ketchin. The AFC 2, would Demo have a better record? No, because we have Brandon winning. So he'll take.
Yep.
And he'll face Demo. I think they played last year. They did play in the first round last year, if I recall.
Man. Demo with a chance of revenge, though. He
Absolutely.
could knock the defending champ, the 2-time defending champ, out in the first round.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to filling out my OKPA Madness bracket, looking at these matchups so far.
Hey, this time I actually have somebody to root for.
Who?
Me.
Oh, you're actually gonna put yourself in the championship? You might as well piss away that money.
I feel like you have to.
I predicted myself. I think I had predicted myself to win 1, and then had Demo beating me last year.
You were trying to just give yourself that nice feel. Hey, I might get one this year, right?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like I'm in a win-win situation. If I win the playoff game, that's huge. But if I lose, at least I predicted it.
Yeah.
So okay, so the NFC 1, 2, and 3, they are up in the air, and it's going to depend on you and I's matchup. Yep. And that's hard for us to predict, just the two of us sitting here talking.
I think no matter what, I think Big Mac winning puts him at the 2 seed. Just based upon tiebreakers, if you were to lose, he'd have a better division record. Yep. If I were to lose, he'd just have an overall better record. So I think he sits the 2 spot no matter what.
Okay, so we'll get him in there. I don't know how you want to do this. What do you want to say?
I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter because personally, I look at my roster and I wouldn't want to play Renaud or Tim Hogue.
No, absolutely not. They're both have the possibility of scoring 175 in week 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah. Put it the way it is right now. You're at the 1 seed and put me at the 3.
All right. So we'll do that. And I don't really want to dive too much into this. We might have a pre-matchup show next week. So I don't want to dive too deep into this, but just looking at the matchups right now, we could have some fun on our hands for the next 3 weeks.
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. It's going to be fun to watch how this pans out.
All right, OKPA fans, OKPA players, hope you enjoyed the show. Chad, I sincerely appreciate you coming on and discussing these matchups with me. Had a great time.
Yeah, man. Same here. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Absolutely. So until next week, OKPA fans, OKPA players, best of luck in your Week 13 matchups. Could be exciting. And we're out.